During the early weeks of M42.007, with the early blooms of the Indominus Crusade reaching out into fresh war zones, new and distant wars flared at the edges of the Imperium Nihilus. Even still, the Imperium Nihilus was recovering under the stewardship of the Blood Angels Legion, commanded by the venerable Lord Commander Dante. New fleets of the Primaris Marines, under the gaze of Custodes' strike forces, surged out to assist beleaguered systems at the periphery of the larger crusade. Lord Commander Guilliman, Regent of Holy Terra, had ordered the reinforcement of all Astartes chapters and the reformation of chapters that had long since been lost or destroyed. Using the vast gene stocks of Terra and the large stock of new recruits, vast fleets of Marines were scattered to the farthest corners of the Imperium, to rebuild after the maledictum had rent the galaxy asunder. Far in the galactic southeast, in the Theontonkles Sector, far from the 500 worlds and distant Terra, a war was being waged by an allied force of Imperial Guard and the combined might of 3 chapters of the Adeptus Astartes. The Imperial forces were under recently promoted War Master Artland Smythe, and the Astartes battle groups of the Soul Drinkers, the Seraph Lords, and the Space Wolves. Overall command of the strike force fell to the most senior Marine commander, Chapter Master Garrick Gothfried of the newly formed Primaris chapter of the Soul Drinkers. They assembled with haste, however, as was so often with the fractious and larger-than-life personalities of the Adeptus Astartes, they were a disparate group, with 2 being detachments of Crusade fleets already spread thin by commitments to prior wars. The Seraph Lords, reserved as always, acquiesced to the Soul Drinkers' command, however their true intentions remained unknown. The free-spirited, independent Space Wolves, already difficult to command under normal circumstances, would be one of the first issues for Chapter Master Gothfried to come to grips with. The Space Wolves' company of the Death Wolves had already been within the area, responding first to the Segmentum Command's plea for assistance. Feeling that the war belonged to them, they refused to treat with the Chapter Master and acted alone. The war had been initiated by elements of the Ferrod Annex, a confederacy of worlds that had declared themselves free from the rule of Terra under the Council of Dictates. This was a ruling body of perfidious psychic tyrants whose dominion over the neighboring worlds brought them directly into contact with Segmentum Command. The combined efforts of the Imperial forces fell suddenly upon the secessionists. Within the span of a few months, operations had managed to clear a cordon of worlds surrounding the core planets. A week after that, there was only the main capital world left. This world, Rakteva IV, was the seat of the Council of Dictates. It was a vast world of verdant forests and grand majestic cities. They leveled powerful witch magics to pepper the besieging fleets from afar. Imperial forces circled through the morass from the vast maelstrom of psychic energy and prudently decided to lay siege instead of directly assaulting the world, hoping on raiding long-range orbital attacks and tightly strangling coils of blockades to starve Rakteva IV into submission. Each Imperial command sat back to enjoy their victory, reveling in the surety that their operation strength and overwhelming material support had guaranteed complete capitulation of their enemy. However, the vast Empyrean nexus drew far greater predators to the Council, far greater than they could have ever conceived. Imperial command reeled, being ill-prepared to meet this new threat, and were quickly swallowed in a sea of chitin and chittering throngs. High Fleet Quetzalcoatl had come. A splinter from the larger Kronos, they were drawn like a shark to blood across the void. By the time the Imperial forces could fully comprehend the scale of this new threat, great swathes of hive ships swarmed about the meager Imperial patrols. Havoc and devastation racked the beleaguered Imperial forces, and the remaining High Command struggled to contain this new threat and regroup the scattered forces. It was not long until a spearhead of the Soul Drinkers struck through the swarm and headed towards the world of the Dictates. What they found was a world in the throes of the apocalypse. They would have only one task: to locate and kill the Dictate leaders, or face the threat of their abilities being absorbed by the Tyranids, and increasing their potential threat far beyond the critical danger it was already. With the tide of war turned, with predators baying in every corner, the victory of the Soul Drinkers would be counted in moments. Even if victorious, the cost could be too great for this young chapter, as void predators sharpen their claws and gnash their teeth, malign intellects scheme, and ancient evil stirs, all while cold, calculating, imperious eyes observe